Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Raghav Jagannathan. You're here for this webinar, Simplify Provisioning and Governance of Microsoft Teams and SharePoint Client Extranet using NetDocs with our software NetDocShare. Once again, my name is Raghav. I've been working with NetDocuments since 2017. Been speaking for quite a few years, speaking at many different Microsoft conferences, tech conferences, ILTA webinars and seminars, including ILTACon last year, at the SharePoint Copilot Symposium this year, and recently at the ILTA Evolve conference, literally this week. I've also written a number of blogs and thought leadership articles related to generative AI and NetDocuments integration. You can scan these QR codes to review some of the content I've written. I'm also the CEO of a couple of companies, Scale Software Technologies, or KLST, which is a services business for law firms specializing in SharePoint Extranets and Intranets buildouts, and Cobot Inc., which is the creator of netDocShare. So today we're going to look at our netDocShare software. Before I get started, I want to open up a brief poll to get a quick sense of how you guys are using NetDocs integration with Teams, whether you're creating any client matter in Teams, really kind of get a little bit of understanding of your current environment. So please feel free to respond to this poll questions as we open up this poll right now. So while you guys respond, I just want to reflect on what is NetDocShare provisioning. So NetDocShare provisioning truly is a unique product in the market. It is designed for customers to basically automate the provisioning process for Microsoft Teams and channels and tabs for those channels, and really managing the life cycle of the team itself. We are also the only product in the market that actually supports the concept of shared channel and provisioning of those shared channels, and how you can share that content within the team securely with your customers using the power of shared channels. So we'll look at that in a second. Also, provisioning with NetDocShare provisioning, you can also basically create and manage your SharePoint Online powered extranets. So you can create client extranets that built on SharePoint Online that can be securely shared with your customers, automatically synchronized with the content from NetDocuments, both bi-directional one-way sync, so you can securely share that content from NetDocuments with your customers through this client extranet. And last but not the least, everything that we do with the NetDocShare provisioning is enforced from a ethical wall and security perspective. So rest assured that any content that you can access in NetDocuments or cannot access in NetDocuments, you will not be able to access that within that Microsoft team or channel. So on that note, that's about the PowerPoint slides I have here. Feel free to scan the QR code at the bottom to learn more about NetDocShare provisioning later down the line. But let's see a quick demo of NetDocShare provisioning and how it works and how it can help you with team provisioning. So here I am logged into NetDocShare provisioning. NetDocShare provisioning is a web app that you can access. And once you're logged into the toolset, you would automatically see all the teams that you're allowed to govern within your team's infrastructure. Now, these teams could be teams that are created with NetDocShare provisioning, or they could be teams that are created by teams outside of NetDocShare provisioning. So we have multiple views here where I can quickly see all the teams I'm part of, or any teams that are unclassified, meaning that the teams that are created outside of the NetDocShare provisioning application. So you have the ability to quickly automatically tag those teams with client matter data or practice information so they can be categorized and classified. Or you can simply view teams by practice groups like administrative teams and antitrust teams and so on. So what I'm showing you here is our NetDocShare provisioning administrative tool that is used for managing the life cycle of the team itself. We also have a NetDocShare Teams app for end users, for attorneys, and they have a similar view of all the teams that they're part of and the teams they may wish to join, and all the teams are organized automatically by practice groups. So I'll be showing that view later, but just to give you a quick view of that, So a My Teams tab automatically comes up in the NetDocShare Teams app for end users, and they can easily see all the teams that they're part of right there. But let's go back to our provisioning engine to basically manage the team lifecycle. So everything in NetDocShare provisioning starts with a request. So we simply go to the request tab, and this request can start in NetDocShare provisioning, or the request itself can be submitted from a third-party application, including your Matter onboarding application that you might have, or a workflow application that you might be using. Regardless of what option you choose, anything that you can do from this screen where you're actually submitting a request to create a team as a personal assistant or a person responsible for Matter conflict checking or onboarding processes, the whole thing is basically really simple. So the create request form can be simply filled out. In this case, I'm just happen to be an admin who's filling out the form. But the request form is basically the foundation for anything that NetDocShare provisioning starts processing. This request form, as I said, can be done through an API call, through an automated process, or manually through this interface that I'm showing you. So the first question in the request form is basically selecting a set of NetDocument specific content. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select my cabinet that I have my demo for, which is my client's cabinet. And then the next question is to select the team that I'm creating this specific, basically a team for. So in this case, I'm going to select this specific client here, which is Nestor Inc. And also have the practice. I'm going to select antitrust. The SharePoint piece is optional. So with NetDocShare provisioning, you do have the option, as I said, to create a client extranet automatically for that specific client matter. But again, it's optional. You don't have to do that. You can simply use NetDocShare provisioning for creating a team. Because we're doing a demo here, we're going to go ahead and create a client extranet. But you can see here that I have a number of extranet site templates that I've created. And in this case, I'm going to use the communication site extranet template to create the site. So what is an extranet template? Extranet templates are something that we work with our clients to basically create, to have a consistent look and feel for your client extranet, so that as you build these client extranets or design the client extranets, you can save them as a template and make them available within NetDocShare provisioning. So the next time you spin up a new client extranet, it has a similar look and feel with the similar web parts and the similar functionality along with the NetDocs integration. So in this case, I'm going to choose that template, and I'll show you during this demo a full-blown extranet site template and a provision site, just to kind of for you to connect the dots of how a provisioning tool creates an extranet site and automatically brands it with web part and includes web parts and so on. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to go ahead and call this client extranet, because I'm trying to create a extranet portal. And there's an option to add a web part. We'll skip that one. We have, because it's a client-facing portal, we cannot really add a NetDocShare, a NetDocs web part on the page, because it won't be accessible to the client. But instead, we're going to create a sync. So the sync basically will help us automatically synchronize a specific folder from this workspace. You can see here, because it selected the client Nestor Inc., automatically the workspace for the client got selected. And I'm simply going to select this folder I have there called Client Extranet Files, so that I can synchronize every single document and subfolders within that folder in NetDocuments, that workspace, automatically with the Client Extranet. So I can collaborate, I can share documents and folders with my customer without the need for me to email or use a third-party software like Box or OneDrive or any of that. This sync automatically takes care of the sharing process. The next one is the core function of NetDocShare provisioning, which is the Teams provisioning itself. So far we looked at the SharePoint provisioning. Now we look at the Teams provisioning. The Teams provisioning starts with creating a team template. The NetDocShare provisioning has many features. One of the features is to create standardized templates. So you can create templates that mimics the structure, the team structure that a practice needs for it to manage all the information and communication around a matter. So as soon as I select this client matter template, you can see here automatically it gave me preloaded a set of a structure, basically a team channel structure automatically got preloaded. So I have the option to go and change it based on my need here. So I'm going to go ahead and call this team Nestor Client Team, and we can give it a name here. Just name Inc. Space. And I'm going to create as a private team here. And I have a number of channels got preloaded because I selected a template. So I'll let the communication channel live here for a second. But what I am going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and create a shared channel. So remember, as when I started the conversation, I said that NetDocShare provisioning has a very unique feature where it also supports the creation of a shared channel within an internal team. So shared channel, if you're not familiar with it, it's a new concept in Microsoft Teams where you have the ability to create an internal team for internal collaboration, but you can have one specific channel within the team that you can actually share both posts, like channel posts, like chat, as well as files, as well as tabs with your external party. Now, obviously, this depends on your team setting and your security settings and whatnot, but Teams gives you the capability to open up a specific channel with an internal team to share with your customers. So in that way, you have a completely centralized communication collaboration strategy for a matter, as opposed to having it in all different places. So in this case, even though I have a client extranet, I'm going to go ahead and create a specific client. I'm going to call this, because I've already called the team the name, I'm just going to call this client shared, because I just to kind of make sure that whoever's using this team, and I'm going to get very more specific, so Nestor client shared. And you can see here the privacy is set to shared. And because this is, I'm using an M365, Microsoft 365 demo tenant, I happen to be a guest on this. So let's say I'm the client here. So I'm going to choose my KLST account as the client account that I want to invite. I'm also selecting a couple of internal users like Megan, who's part of this demo tenant. So basically, I'm setting the security on that specific channel, restricting it to a group of people, could be a Microsoft 365 group or individual users, including external parties who are part of my, there's a concept called Azure B2B. So this user is part of the Azure B2B, but it's the way for me to share an internal application, so like a channel with an external user, right? So here I'm going to go ahead and also not just create a shared channel, I'm also going to do a synchronization of the same folder. So basically you can see it automatically selected the workspace because I have the client selected. I'm going to go and select that exact same folder which I synchronized with my client extranet on SharePoint with this specific shared channel, and I'm going to synchronize that specific folder, client extranet files. We're going to leave the rest the way it is. I'm going to maybe get rid of this additional channel which is not needed. And for the general channel, general is the default channel in the team, as you know. And for this channel, I'm also going to create, instead of a channel sync, I'm actually going to add a tab here. So for this tab, I'm going to call this Nestor workspace, and I'm going to simply point it to the workspace which is in NetDocuments. So basically, that automatically points to that the NetDocs using our NetDocShare plugin into a NetDocs workspace. It's automatically configured to, as you can see, it's automatically pre-selected the workspace for me. So I'm just going to save this and have that tab select. So this is what we call a live view of a workspace right in Teams. But just to add to the fun here, I'm also going to add one more tab here, but I'm actually going to add a Microsoft Planner tab. So this is a very unique feature that we have in NetDocShare provisioning, where it actually supports the creation of predefined task checklists. So I can create a matter onboarding task checklist automatically ready to go for my attorneys to come in and just check off as the matter is onboarded or as part of the matter onboarding process. So I'm just going to select Planner here. I'm going to edit the tab settings of this here, and I'm going to go ahead and create a plan. But instead of creating a plan, I'm just going to call this matter onboarding task, but I'm going to choose a CSV file I already have created that's going to preload these files, these tasks for me. So you can see here I have a matter post onboarding task checklist. I'm just going to use that CSV file. It's a planner format, a CSV file that I have a predefined set of checklist items, tasks that I want all attorneys to complete as part of the matter onboarding process. So here, I basically added that task checklist. I've added a NetDocShare Teams, like a live tab to a workspace. I've also created a shared channel that automatically synchronizes with a source inside of NetDocuments workspace. I've also requested for a SharePoint Extranet to be created. So here I am requesting all that just by clicking on create. Again, you don't have to do that manually through a form. This whole process can be automated through an automated workflow that we have in NetDocShare provisioning, and that can be stitched up with your matter onboarding process. So you don't have to come in and request by filling out a form in a NetDocShare provisioning. That whole form can be automatically submitted as part of the existing matter onboarding process as well. But for the purpose of this demo, I went ahead and created manually a process. I'm also go ahead, it automatically starts a workflow. I'm going to approve it. So as I approve this, it's going to take a few minutes to several minutes, depending on how much the traffic is in SharePoint, because what it's doing right now, it's automatically creating the SharePoint site, the extranet site based on the extranet template. It automatically creates a sync job to automatically synchronize that content, the client extranet files from the workspace from NetDocs into the client extranet. It automatically sets the permissions equal to the permissions that mimics the NetDocuments workspace permissions on the team that I asked it to create. It automatically is creating shared channels and also setting a shared sync job that synchronizes that client extranet files from NetDocuments with my shared channel so that my client can access the channel within their own Microsoft Teams using this shared channel concept and Azure B2B concept. And last but not the least is also creating a general tab for me, which is a live view of NetDocuments as well as a planner task list. So all that stuff is automatically being done as part of the provisioning process. Obviously, that can take a little bit of time. And once that's done, I'll get an email, but I can also check on it by clicking on this small little icon. And you can see that the Teams aspect is already done, but the SharePoint task could take a little bit of time because of throttling issues and Microsoft 365 stopping you from automatically creating SharePoint sites all the time. So they throttle you sometimes. So it can take a few minutes to several minutes to have for that to work. So we'll go back and check on that later. But we can see here our team is ready. So what we're going to do here, because it's a demo tenant, I'm going to go and go into my Teams environment here, which is loading a desktop app, and so a desktop app, a web app, because it's a demo tenant. And I'm going to go into Teams, and I'm going to start looking for the team that I just created. Because remember, NetDocShare provisioning creates automatically a team for me. So let's look for that team here. So you can see that the team, while we were doing this demo, automatically got created. And this team is now ready for my team to use. So you can see that there are 3 channels that I requested in a general channel. Let's have a look at it. The general channel, remember, we asked for a NetDocShare tab to be added that basically points to that workspace for that client. Automatically it got added. We call this a live view of NetDocs content. So no content has been copied in Teams. It's a live view. So you can basically browse that workspace as if it's all here in Teams. Also added a request for a matter checklist, an onboarding checklist to be created. I uploaded a CSV file, automatically went in and created a checklist for me that now as an attorney I can check off as part of the matter onboarding process. I also asked for a shared channel to be created. The shared channel was shared with my clients and also had a sync job configured with it, which we'll see that in a few seconds, the files start syncing over, and you can see it's already started syncing from the Client Extranet files folder in my NetDocuments channel with this shared channel in Microsoft Teams. And last but not the least, we also had a third channel called Communications that was a private channel that was requested, right? So all that got created automatically for me through the provisioning engine. So while we are going on and looking at some other features of our NetDocShare provisioning, we're going to quickly do a poll based on what you've seen so far. We have a couple of questions. We'd love for you to answer them at your leisure. So let me keep moving with my demo here. So you can see that the team got provisioned. Let's look at our status on our provisioning tool and see how things are going. So you can see our SharePoint is still kind of pending. So we're gonna check back on it a little bit later. Let's see. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is an extranet portal that I created, a SharePoint Extranet, a site that automatically was provisioned as part of this request that I played just to be conscious of time during this webinar. So let me show you that extranet portal that was created just a few minutes before this demo. So here it is. Just to connect the dots here, the CSV Corp client portal that I created prior to this demo, just to kind of save on time. This extranet portal automatically got created through the NetDocShare provisioning based on the extranet template that was used. Automatically, the portal has a bunch of web parts, financial data web parts, automatically configured, ready to use. But more importantly, it also had my documents ready. So now when I go to the Documents tab, obviously Documents web part shows those documents to my client to access, but you can see here that it's automatically synchronizing those documents from the workspace. So a client could come in here, they could access the documents, they can download them, they can edit it depending on the sync type, because we support multiple sync types, a bi-directional sync or one-way sync depending on the use case. If it's a bi-directional sync, you can inform your customers to upload their content into this folder, and it will automatically synchronize back into NetDocuments, including edits. For example, I can simply open one of these files here in Microsoft Office, client or desktop or web, and automatically edit it, and automatically the content, because it's bi-directional sync, will synchronize back to the Client Extranet files folder in NetDocuments. So with the bi-directional or sync type, one direction sync type, whatever you choose, you can pick how you want to collaborate with the customers. Are you just pushing content from NetDocuments, or are you asking your clients to collaborate with you through the Client Extranet portal? So basically with our Client Extranet scenario, we really make it super straightforward for you to provision a Client Extranet based on an extranet template, a site template that we can create for you, or your SharePoint team internally can create, and then automatically have NetDocuments content synchronized with that Client Extranet so that you can seamlessly collaborate with your clients. But if that's not what you want, and you don't want to create Client Extranets in SharePoint anymore, you can absolutely do that right within Teams. So in Teams, as I said, you have a shared channel approach, where as you create an internal team, you can create a shared channel, again, depending on your team's permissions and your security settings and whatnot. This shared channel, just the channel itself, can be shared with your client, and you can have synchronization going with the shared channel, as I showed you before, so that the shared channel becomes now your collaboration platform to collaborate, communicate, share content from NetDocuments with your client. Now that we've seen examples of a team getting created, let's go back to our Teams tab here. So you can also see we have a couple of tabs here. We have a SharePoint tab here that shows all the SharePoint sites that are getting created or about to get created. And then we have the Teams tab here. So Teams tab basically, so you don't have to go running back to Microsoft Teams. You can do everything from here. So you can basically govern your entire Teams infrastructure, especially as it applies to from a client matter practice categorization perspective, as well as from a NetDocuments integration perspective. You can do all that here, right within NetDocShare provisioning. So for example, the team I was looking for before, I can simply search for the team right here within Microsoft. Oh, I have to change this. Let me go back to all here. So it's a wrong practice. Let me make sure that I'm looking at the right team with the right practice. So because we have the categorization option here, we can basically, let's search for it now. There you go. So this specific team was under a different practice. That's why it wasn't showing up under the administrative practice. So now when I select the team, you can see that automatically there are icons being shown that says that, look, this team has sync jobs configured. So the NetDocShare icon shows up. That basically shows that there is a sync job running on the shared channel. And I can edit those sync jobs. I can change the source of it. I can add additional sources to it right through this UI. Or I can do that also through our API integration. So NetDocShare provisioning also ships with an extensive set of APIs called provisioning APIs, that anything and everything that I'm showing you through the UI can be done through there. A very common question I also get asked is, what about the whole life cycle of the team? What about archiving? So you can absolutely archive the team right from here. You can even delete the team. You can also do a timed delete so that it deletes itself on a specific date time. And also when archiving, we not only archive the contents of the team, you also archive the chats, the conversations, everything automatically it gets archived. We also have an option to save Teams chats into NetDocuments. So we do that through our NetDocShare Teams app, where you can save one or more chats within your Teams environment within a specific channel automatically by right-clicking on it and say save to NetDocuments. And you can save the entire chat or one chat or a specific chat or a group of chats into NetDocuments as a PDF document. So last but not the least, I want to quickly reflect on a provisioning process, the end-to-end. So we start with the request, and through our Teams app, we have the ability to manage that team, both from a sync job perspective, from a tab perspective, with the ability to archive, delete any chats and documents that is flowing right through the team automatically to NetDocuments. So the last piece of this puzzle is our Teams app, which is from the end user perspective. So let's quickly look at it. So our Teams app basically lives within Microsoft Teams, and NetDocShare Teams app is one of the highest ranked Teams app in the store. We are the only approved Microsoft Store app apart from the NetDocuments app itself. So we have a much more tighter integration when it comes to NetDocs integration into Microsoft Teams. And that's part of the reason why customers choose us over the default vendor app. One of the things that NetDocShare offers here, as I said before, is the ability to see all my teams nicely categorized right under the NetDocShare personal app experience. We have many other views as well here, like my recent documents, my favorite documents, my checked out documents, with the ability to check in, bulk check in. But the fun comes in where it comes really at a channel level, where NetDocShare tabs can be added to a specific channel. For example, here we created this team through the provisioning engine, and you can see that within this channel, within this specific channel, within the team, it automatically created for me a workspace, kind of a view where I can see NetDocuments content live. Now, within our NetDocShare Teams app, we also have the ability to go back and forth with the channel files tab, which is incredible functionality that we have. For example, if I have, let's say collaboration starts in Microsoft Teams, which is, I would say 90% of the time where most attorneys start creating content, uploading content, sharing content within Microsoft Teams, that content automatically goes into the files tab. Now, with NetDocShare Sync, of course, you can have a synchronization job that automatically synchronizes that content from the files tab into NetDocuments, but obviously that needs to get set up. So what we can do here is, with our file upload feature, you can simply go to the NetDocShare tab, click on upload files, and you can simply select the files that you want from the channel files tab to be added automatically from the channel files tab into the workspace. So with the add files functionality, we can easily synchronize one-time synchronization automatically from the channel files tab into that specific workspace in NetDocuments. So I know we have a minute left here, so I want to make sure that we spend a minute or two here on questions. I have see a couple of questions in the chat bar here. The first question being asked here is with regards to NetDocuments permissions and ethical walls. Is it supported with the NetDocShare provisioning? The answer is yes. So with NetDocShare provisioning, anytime you create a team, you automatically it automatically inherits the permissions on that NetDocuments workspace, so that the users and the groups that are assigned to the workspace are the people who are assigned by default to the team. Obviously, because it's in Microsoft Teams, you can always add additional users as you see fit, but automatically inherits the permissions that is in NetDocuments within Microsoft Teams. I also see one more question here, which is around synchronization between the files tab. So it can, are files synchronized between the Teams files tab and NetDocuments workspace? Yes. So in this NetDocShare Teams app, we have an option to synchronize files. For example, we have an option called Quick Sync, where you can quick sync a file or a folder. For example, let's say I want to quick synchronize this entire folder from this location into the Files tab, or vice versa. I want to synchronize some files and folders from my Files tab into NetDocuments. I can do that using the quick sync feature that we have in NetDocShare Teams app. All right, so we have a couple more questions here. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave my contact details. You can always scan this QR code and set up a call with me if you want to continue talking on NetDocs and Teams provisioning processes and sync processes in our Teams app. Thank you so much for your time here. I really appreciate it. Thank you.